Yo, welcome back to another episode of the Dear Fathers podcast. I'm your host, James Meeks, and we're excited about another impactful conversation with today's guest. But before we get started, I got to check in with my partner, Jesse. How you feeling today, fam?
Man, I'm good, bro. Feeling good this week. I feel like it's been a minute since we recorded, so I'm happy to be on, especially with the guests we got on, man. Because James, we talked about this prior. We both kind of grew up on this guy, so it's cool to tap in with him at the stage he is in now, and just talk fatherhood like we always do, man.
Yeah, man, I definitely missed recording, missed you, bro, having these conversations, but I'm happy to be having this one today. We want to welcome in the living legend, the actor, comedian, and an amazing father, Kel Mitchell, to the Dear Fathers podcast. How you feeling today, Kel?
Man, what's up, y'all? I feel good, blessed up. Thanks for having me on here, man. That's what's up.
Now, we appreciate you joining, man. And like Jesse said, we're big fans, man. We both grew up on you. It's crazy how the world works because now I'm a father too. I got 3 kids, and my kids are into you just as much as I was when I was a kid. So,
Hey.
it's definitely cool to kind of see it come full circle with the fam. But before we get into the successful icon that you are, man, we want to get people to kind of tap into who you are and more of your upbringing and your family. So let's take it back to your upbringing, your parents. Like, what was your relationship like with your father growing up?
Oh man, so my dad is a retired psychologist. So yeah, growing up, education was very important in our household. They were very pro-Black as well, so they taught me a lot. Even they had a sign on the television that my dad had that was called the idiot box. And so, and just with that mindset of like, yeah, enjoy, you could watch television, but if you just too much doing it, you know what I mean? I want you to get into these books. And so that's what it really was about for me, is getting into these books. And they had so many books and things that they introduced us to, and teaching us about our history. And what was also cool was my dad would go, okay, all right, if you read a book, and give us a book report afterwards. So him and my mom would do that, and we would give them a book report. And that was like part of our chores as well with me and my sisters, that we also did our chores, but then we also had to read a book and recite it back and what we thought about it. And that got me into a lot of Langston Hughes, into a lot of poetry. And that kind of really sparked my imagination, even with acting. And then also my dad as well, like, he was the kind of like, yo, go outside, we're gonna cut this grass, we're gonna take out this garbage. I'm gonna teach you how to do this, I'm gonna teach you how to do that. You know what I mean? It was really, get up and go, sun up, man up. You know what I mean? So I grew up in that type of household, which was really dope. But also, my dad is very loving as well. So and I saw that a lot with my mom. I would see them dance. We from Chicago, so they would Chicago step and stuff like that. And he would compliment her and tell her things, and write poetry as well. So just seeing that love that they both had, I always tell my parents about that. That I appreciate that, just showing that love to me. And my sisters, and they're still doing it today. They just celebrated their 49th anniversary.
That's amazing.
Which is really beautiful. Yeah.
That's definitely amazing. And thanks for sharing that. It sounds like your pops was very well rounded in terms of being like old school and wanting you to, grow up and be a man and be respectful and all those things. But he also seemed like a bit of a creative too. And that probably, like, how much of that helped you start to develop your creative side to get you to where you ended up in your career?
Yeah, man. It's really deep because, I grew up on the south side of Chi, and I love Chicago. It has a lot of like artistry, talented people that are into the arts, and it's just so beautiful in the Chi. But then it also has the other side too, like any other city where you have, gang violence and things like that. And so I grew up around both, you know what I mean? But I was one of those kids where it's kind of like my parents were looking at what I was into. They didn't know everything, of course, but it was a thing of like, we want to make sure he stay in the church. So that was something that kept me grounded, kept me going, that I was definitely in the church. My dad was very active in the church. He was a deacon at the church. He was a Boy Scout leader at the church as well, which was deep too, because we was just on the south side of the Chi, and they were like, "Yo, it's a lot of things going on. We want the kids to do positive things." So they were like, "Yo, let's start a Boy Scout troop," and we didn't even have no uniforms, so it was kind of like they just had the T-shirts, but we learned like the etiquette and the good mindset of being in that environment. And then we had a deacon that was into Kung Fu, and he actually taught us that as well. So, and I remember one summer, I was, getting to that age where I was acting up at school, and, I was wilding out. And so my parents was like, we don't want him to go in the wrong direction. I had homies that, ended up locked up even at a very young age. So it was a thing of, even when my dad saw me one time, I got into a situation, and he saw me walk out of the crib, and I had my hat turned, and I had a rag on, and he, knowing what that was about, you know what I mean? He said, "Boy, if you don't come over here." And I mean, the way that he lit me up, as far as like telling me he don't want me to be in that lifestyle, and I hadn't even done nothing yet. I just was like, I was just trying to figure it out. But I thank my dad for that moment. I would never forget that like conversation. You know what I mean? It was so deep. My pops was very similar to like the dad in Boys in the Hood, where it's like everybody knew him, you know what I mean? And he always had that, that poetry, that, talking about our Black history and just letting us know who we are as men. And then me having my mom, who is a preacher's kid as well, the two of them together. So I had the church, and I had the education, and I had all these, different people really, blessing me with knowledge. But then also I had, others in my family that were into gang violence. Like both of my uncles were murdered. I had a best friend that was murdered. So for my dad, when you really look at the understanding of that, it's like, okay, let's break generational curses. Let's really, he be the change, and I be the change, and understand why. You know what I mean? So a lot of the knowledge that he has given me as growing up and being an example just through actions, you know what I mean, was awesome for me as a kid.
No, that's dope, man. I love to hear stories like that, because like James said, it seemed like your pops was really well-rounded in the things that he was teaching y'all growing up. But I want to know, man, like you said he had the idiot box on the TV, right? Like, what was that conversation with him like when then you wanted to then get into entertainment and be on TV? Like, what was that like?
It was really deep, man. My parents were really about like the idle mind is the devil's workshop. So we always needed to be making sure that we were busy and into something, and so positive. And so when I got on television, it was very funny, because we didn't even have, this, we talking about early 90s. And so like, we didn't even have cable at the crib. So it was like one of my uncles, like he had cable, and we used to watch the fights on VHS, and he would do it for us and all that. And so when I got the audition and I got on television, I was like, yo, I guess we're gonna have to get cable, right? So we could watch me. You know what I mean? Which was really cool. And so one thing about my parents is that they're very supportive of our dreams, as long as it was positive and what we were doing. We're all, me and my sisters are, entrepreneurs, starting our own businesses and things of that nature in all different, aspects. So I think that them allowing us to be free in that way definitely was helpful. But and then also too, we would bump our head along the way of adulting, through life. But I think it was awesome, that they were always there to give advice. And, as you're adulting, it's not like you agree with everything that your parents are telling you. You got to go through your own journey, you know what I mean, in life. But I'm just, thankful to still have, my parents, and then also a village. The church is a village. And I just really want people to understand that, you know what I mean? Because sometimes it's things that kids might not want to share with their parents, but then if they have a core group of friends and youth pastors and things of that nature at a church, they can share in that way, or even activities that are helpful. And sometimes that's not always sports. You know what I mean? Like you might have a kid that's very artsy like me. And that's to go back to your question where it was a community theater in Chicago called ETA Creative Arts Foundation. And my parents would take me there to watch plays. And my father, psychologist, but also when he was in high school, he danced with Catherine Dunham dance, and so African dance, and so he was very creative in that way. So they were always kind of like, oh, okay, you know what I mean? We don't mind you being creative, and introducing us to those type of things. And when I got involved in the theater, it was really just to have me do something positive. It wasn't to say, oh, you're gonna get on TV, because some parents do that where it's like, this kid's gonna be on TV. They knew I had something, but they were just like, we need to keep him active because he's getting in trouble in school doing shows in the classroom. And I just fell in love with the art of acting, being in theater and being on stage. And when the television, aspect presented itself, I thank, my parents for being very supportive within that. Yeah, even in the ups and downs of it all too,
Yeah, that's big, bro. And I think the part that I love about that, and I think, we as parents, we got to tap into that more, is keeping kids busy and active and letting them explore things other than sports. Because to your point, everybody can't play ball. Everybody want to run track, whatever it might be. And I think we always in our community, we oftentimes kind of like our default is go play a sport. But sometimes you have a kid, like I have, a nephew that can't stand being outside or playing sports, but I think like he's into arts and he's into like technology and things like that. So figuring out ways to like let your kids harness their talents in other ways is a great outlet for them. And we shouldn't always be so closed-minded to say you only got to do this, this, or this, because there's so many things you could do.
Yeah, it's finding your purpose a lot of times is finding out those things that you loved when you were younger. And so as parents, we need to kind of like really look at what they are focused on. And sometimes it might change, you know what I mean? But kind of look what makes them happy. What are they doing? Like they're singing all the time, or, they're doing a lot of art all the time. They're being very creative instead of saying, man, put that crayon down and go out there and I want you to go do this. It's like, well, wait a minute. Let me see you draw daddy real quick. Right. Let me see what sing me a song real quick and just kind of see where it is, sometimes, I learned that as a father. I know we're talking about my past, but as a father, it's really like, you kind of got to go, okay, what do you like? What do you enjoy? And some parents can be selfish at times where it's kind of like, no, you're going to do it this way and this way it's going to go. You know what I'm saying? But then at the same time, it's kind of like, see what they enjoy. Because you have so many people that grow up and go, man, I did this job because my parents wanted me to do it. Or I went to this school because my parents wanted me to go to that school. And then they look back and they're just like kind of upset about it. You know what I mean? So allow your child, of course, guidance and making sure that they don't go in the wrong direction, but let them try things. You know what I mean?
Yeah. No doubt, man. And I didn't mention this before we started recording, but I currently don't have any children yet, plan to in the near future. So just even hearing gems like this from y'all is always super therapeutic for me. But you said one thing that kind of sparked a quick question in me. You said about finding your purpose, which I think it's important for everybody in the world to find a purpose. You found yours at a very early age, right? Like, did it ever get to a point, like as you got into adulthood, that you thought that purpose might have like changed for you or anything?
All right, so let me break this down. So when I was young, I found my talent that God blessed me with. I found my purpose. So being on television, I didn't know God's plan while I was on television. It was just a thing of, hey, this is a talent God has blessed me with, and my parents let me know that. Like, this is an opportunity that a lot of kids don't have. So if you want to leave at any point and you don't want to do this, you make sure you make sure you work hard on the show. So that's why I went super hard on the show. Yeah. But then at the same time, my parents also said, if you ever feel uncomfortable on this set and this is something you don't want to do anymore, you let us know, which was awesome too as well. And staying in it because, I always tell, like, we brought all that back. We rebooted it, right? And so when I got to speak to the kids for the first time after seeing them on audition tapes, I was going into the table read and the Lord said, tell them something that you wish somebody told you throughout this business. And because there's a lot of ups and downs within this business that you figure out as you're going through it. And so I told them, hey, this is not the thing that makes you important. This is not the one thing. You were made important and you were made amazing when you were in the womb. You know what I mean? So this is a part of your long journey of the things that you're going to be doing in life. So when I told them that, I wanted them to understand like, oh, this is a job for a period of time, and then I will go to another job, and then I'll go to another job, and like that. Because when you grow up in this as a child, there's a thought process of like, oh, this is how it's going to be. You know what I mean? And you mix up the character with who you are. And so it creates this false narrative where it's like, can I trust everybody? Do they just like me, or they love the character that I play on television? And that's why you see a lot of mental health issues with a lot of young entertainers, because there's a thing where it's like, who can I trust? Who do, I don't know. And especially even now with social media and things of that nature, it's so much that you deal with as you're going through it. But here's the thing, as I went through adulting in the spotlight, what happened was that in my down times and in my up times, what I started to find out was those core things that I learned when I was younger, and those core beliefs of faith and what was put in me. And so when I started to like bump my head and in Hollywood and things I got into in Chicago and all these different things, I was taken back to that core belief. My wife always says, your spirit doesn't age, but it gains wisdom, right? So your spirit's been with you this entire time since you was a kid. So when I was in Chicago, the Lord was looking out for me. When things was going on, the Lord was looking out for me. And then as I got into LA, there was other obstacles to go through, and the Lord was looking out for me. And then I got to a point where when I started looking, when it was a point in my life where I was jobless and I was trying to look for some work, I was trying to figure out what was going on. And then in that moment, the Lord was speaking to me. And it was like, I want you to speak back to the youth. I want you to talk to the youth. I want you to direct. I want you to write your own stuff. I want you to do, and all this stuff started coming to my head. I'm like, well, man, I'm going to do that. But I was like, you know what? I'm going to go after it and do it. And as I started just going after another dream and going after these things, I found out that, oh, okay, you've been setting this up the whole entire time, Lord, because my purpose was really, I want to reach the youth, and the things that you just said earlier about the creativity and kids having different options, me going through that was something that I was very passionate about. You know what I mean? So within doing that, that's when I started giving back, and I started creating programs for kids, and I started doing things in Los Angeles and being part of the Black College Expo and being a director, putting on plays. Me and my wife in Compton, California, we put on a dance show for the kids, and all these things that was reached out to me in community. When I was a kid, I was giving back. And so the Lord was preparing me for that, you know what I mean? Which is awesome. And now the thing about it is that really I want people to see him through me. And that's really my purpose, is to see the love, because it's so, in the entertainment, there's people that are loving, but then there's people where you get so jaded and you get a selfish mind and selfish thinking. Now when I go on sets, I'm not thinking in that way. I'm really thinking about, I need everybody for a reason. I need everybody for a purpose. Through my story, how can I help them, get closer to God, or just get over some certain obstacles that are going on in their lives? Because I've seen so much. You know what I mean? Yeah.
That's
I know
amazing,
that was a lot. Man. I know that was a lot, but
that's amazing, man. It's beautiful
man.
to see it all come full circle, with you starting off as, a child actor, teenage actor, and then, giving back in the same way that it was poured into you as a child, man. I think that's really dope that you did that, noble. So salute to you for that. But kind of speaking to, your journey as a star, right? So you got into becoming a star at an early age. So take us back to, like, what were some of your favorite moments as a child actor, thinking about like all that, a good burger, like what are some of the highlights that you think like, man, I really love that moment?
I'm gonna tell you, one was I rap too. So hip hop was something that was a dope outlet in Chicago as well. So while everybody was banging, my thing was I love breakdancing, I love hip hop, I love being a graffiti artist. And so I was really into that. So shout out to IMK, that's my crew from Chicago. So we were really into that. And I did B-boy battles and all that stuff. And so we started rapping and we got on WGCI. And my sister worked at Metro Music in Chicago. My Chicago people know what I'm talking about. And so, I got to battle Common and all this stuff like that when I was at a young age, even before I got on television, which was kind of cool. He just came in the store and we just started rapping. And so for me, when we got on all that was very musical. And so we were like I say the In Living Color for kids. A lot of people say S&M, but I say In Living Color because we were so diverse in the type of acts that we brought on our show was very similar to the acts that In Living Color brought on. So for me, those moments were like, to just be, going to school and tripping over TLC and like, TLC is made, and then all of a sudden now TLC is like hanging out with you, you know what I mean, on set, and then they're doing the theme song to your show. That's awesome, man. And then like all the artists that we were introduced to when they were promoting themselves, like Usher first coming out, he went on all that, you know what I mean? And Ron DMC, getting to jump on stage with Ron DMC. I remember all my cousins, playing Ron DMC for the first time in the Chi, and I saw it on the turntable and they was mixing, my cousins doing that. And then now I'm on stage with Ron DMC, you know what I mean? And they're doing their Christmas song. And I'm like, yeah, like it was mind blowing, you know what I mean? And it's just like, but which was just awesome. So those moments for me, what was so exciting, you know what I mean? Those were the moments that were exciting, like you're meeting your favorite artists that you always wanted to meet, and then seeing that they're real people. That was a cool thing too, for me, like, meeting Coolio at that time and all these different artists and Aaliyah and hanging out with Aaliyah, and we talking about Chicago and talking about Chicago food and just chilling. That was just like, those amazing moments on all that. Yeah.
No, that's super dope, man. And we love stories like that because, like James said, that kind of just see how everything comes full circle. And when you operating in your purpose, your talent, just kind of opportunities open up. And that's honestly how, kind of how we feel about the podcast and the platform that we created. We really, building this out of a passion when it comes to telling stories, fatherhood, Black men, but then being able to talk to people like you who we grew up watching. It's like, damn, like it's crazy. You know what I'm saying? So no, that's dope, and salute to you, man. But for the people, man, the people want to know. They got to know, does Kel still love orange soda, man?
I do. Oh, that's for the people. But it's crazy because, if you follow me on Instagram or anything like that, you see that I work out a lot. And I'm very into like health and working out, you know what I'm saying? And making sure, that we feed the spirit, but we also feed our body and our mind, and go to the doctor, you know what I mean? Take the right things that you need to take, as far as like, if you take it a holistic approach, make sure you're doing that well too, as well. Just get the information. And so, so we live longer. As fathers, that's very important too, because you want to be here. You know what I mean? Yeah. So, so you don't want to feel something and be like, yo, what's wrong? Well, I ain't going to the doctor. Hold up, bro. Like, go get a checkup, go see what's going on so you can be here. So, but so with that being said, orange soda is awesome, but drink your water and get your tea.
Nah, no doubt, man. Even to that point, man. So something we doing here pretty soon with Dear Fathers, we're actually doing it in St. Louis to start, is we're going to call it a shop clinic, where we pull up to barbershops with a wellness truck. So guys, so Black men could get checks, blood pressure checks, different checkups, and just provide that space for they can go that they can go and get it at no charge. We want to take that to different cities, man. So through our nonprofit, we would love to, collaborate with you and bring something like that to LA, man, if you open to it.
Look, I'm there. I think that's dope. I'm so into that. You know what I mean? Okay. I'm so into that. It was a point where I had went to the doctor. I was having some complications, and they were like, "Yo, your blood pressure is high up. It's skyrocketed. Your cholesterol is high. And I'm like, yo, I'm good. Like I work out. You know what I mean? And then I was like, and then they broke down cholesterol to me and nutrition. And I took a nutrition class. And I was like, yo. And it was really deep to me because I was like, I know some brothers that just like fell out. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? And not to be funny, like serious, like they just fell out. And it's like, man, if they would have just known to, you know, all you have to do is just change the way you eat or the calorie intake that you're having and check your blood pressure and all those different things, and you will be here. You know what I'm saying? Right. So So to answer your question, yeah, man, that's okay.
Dope. Yeah. I think, you know, with us as Black men, a lot of times just that lack of knowledge, like you said. So yeah, it's definitely important, man. So definitely would love to bring that to LA. So we'll definitely hit you on that. And even just, you know, we kind of talking about food, man. Let's talk about MTV's Deliciousness. Like what's being on that show on the panel been like for you, and like tell us just more about the show in general.
Yeah, man. Oh, also too, because I know we're talking about fathers. I want to talk about my dad, because my dad get like annual checkups all the time. And he was very on, like when I got to a certain age, are you doing that? Are you making sure you're checking on your body? So that's important as a father too, since this is a father show, right? But Deliciousness, yeah, man. I love Deliciousness. Deliciousness is awesome. It's a spinoff of Ridiculousness, and so Ridiculousness is a awesome show. Which is very funny, been around for 10 years. And so Rob decided to expand it. What other nisses can we have, right? So they came up with Deliciousness, which is food fails. And, you know, everybody has done that. You know, I've done it, you know what I mean? Barbecuing, I love the cue, you know what I mean? So I've been barbecuing in Netflix and like watching TV, you know, on my phone. Don't do that. Make sure you watch the grill and know when to flip the meat. So I burnt the meat one time because I was watching a Netflix movie and I was like, oh, so, but yeah, those type of things would get on tape on Deliciousness. And it's just a smooth gig. It's cool. I just sit on the couch with Tim and Angela and Tiffany, and we just like crack up laughing at these like hilarious food fails. It's a great show, man. It's on MTV and it runs like every day, like Ridiculousness. So it's been awesome. And we shot it during the pandemic, which was also a blessing as well, to be able to, you know, get that gig at at the middle of all the start of that. Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's amazing, man. We checked that out. We're big Ridiculousness fans, and then we moved over into Deliciousness too. So it's always on in our household, bro. But man, we want to switch gears a little bit, you know what I mean, and really hone in on the conversation we wanted to have with you today, which is about fatherhood. You know what I mean? We all know you as an actor and a comedian and those things, but we want to get to know you more as a father. So first question we have is, who is Kel as a father?
Who is Kel as a father? Kel as a father is loving, consistency in my loving and understanding, you know, because I'm gonna pray first, you know, every day just to how to approach it. You know what I mean? Because I'm not perfect. So there's a thing where you have to go to the Lord every morning, and anything that you were dealing with from the day before, you know, we was talking about renewing our mind. And we have to understand spiritually, this is spiritual warfare. So you don't know what's going on in the spiritual realm that could try to harm your family. So for me, it's always getting up early and taking care of that. You know, let me take care of my mind and my spirit and protecting my family in the blood and in the hedge of protection over them. And doing that, that's very important to me. And you see a lot of that change. And also with being a father as well, is really partnering with my wife as a team. You know what I mean? You are upgraded when you have a beautiful, loving wife that loves the Lord as well. And so it's definitely teamwork. You know what I mean? Talking together, communicating together, even with raising the children is also a beautiful thing to do as well. Yeah.
You know, that's dope, man. And I second the part about having a wife and somebody you're connected to spiritually. I think that makes a world of difference. And I think when the parents have that great relationship with each other too, that filters down into the children. They see that love. So when they go off and into the world, they saw their mom love their dad, they saw their dad love their mom, and it makes them a better person when they go out and find whoever they're going to be with too. So definitely salute to you guys for focusing on your relationship so that your kids can have a great relationship, with y'all too.
Appreciate that. Yeah, man. You got to. It's so important. And even that, kids, even at a young age, they'll try. They'll be like, oh, okay, well, mommy said I couldn't do this. Let me go try to see if
but what's crazy
said.
is they pick up on that early too. Like my 2-year-old right now, like my wife would tell him, like, nah, you're not going to get in the pool. And he'll come knock on the door. Daddy, can we get in the pool? And I'm like, sure. And then I go out. Mom's like, nah, I just told him he can't get in. I'm like, see, man, how you gonna suck on me like that, bro? How do you even know how to run that game on me right now at 2 years old?
I don't understand how they do that either, man. It's so funny, man. It's so funny. And so that's why we have these powwows. Like my wife like text me, she got my phone. It's like, I just told her that she can. It's like, and I'm like, oh, okay, so I'm ready for it. I'm like, waiting for her to come in, like, nah, I agree with mommy. You know what I mean? Yeah, man.
But yo, so one of the other things we wanted to hit on too was your career, because a lot of times it's tough being a parent, being involved in your career, and balancing everything. And I think we read somewhere that people said that you started to dial back in your career because you wanted to focus more on family. Would you say that was true? And if so, what have you learned in trying to balance both?
You know what? I feel like it's part of that whole adulting in the entertainment business. People, they grow up with you, so they're watching your every move. And I think for me, it was just me navigating through life and then finding out, like we were talking about earlier, that purpose and me having to go through certain things so the Lord could take me to different levels in my life. That's what was literally going on. And my family is definitely important. And also within my career, I want to show my kids to, love what you do. You know what I mean? Go after it. You really got to love what you do. A lot of times, a lot of people don't, and they're scared to take that, the risk of taking that leap of faith. You know what I mean? To just go after your dreams and it's not going to work out all the time. You know what I mean? Like I had to figure that out too. Like within this business, when stuff started to slow down in the acting world, when the show stopped and ended, and then I had to go through a journey of figuring out, okay, what I'm going to do next. But then within that, I'm thankful for those moments because what it did was it showed me the other talents that God wanted to show me that I have, because he gives everyone multiple talents, and multiple skills, and we can be educated in a lot of different things. And so that's definitely important for me. So I like them to see when I'm up against an obstacle or a circumstance, and I say, hey, we're going to pray about this. You know what I mean? And then they see that and see the fruit of that. And so the fruit of the righteousness. So when they see a parent saying, okay, we're going to trust in the Lord, I see what it looks like, but we're going to trust in the Lord that this is going to happen. And they're watching that even at a young age. They're going, yo, okay. You know what I mean? Okay. And then to see it is like, all right, you got to trust. Because, in every aspect of life, people go through ups and downs. And I think that it's very important as parents that we show them that character of sticking with our faith, through it all. You know what I mean? And I saw that, with my parents and adjusting as well. We do that as well. They see me communicating. My kids see me communicating with my wife and still having that chivalry with my wife and, doing that. And that's very important for, boys and girls to see fathers, doing that, because it's a lot out there that they see on television and, in music and things like that. But I know when you come in this house, you're going to see, how it really goes. And then it's the thing about it is the consistency of it. That's why I always say consistency, because teens can, especially older ones, they can really sniff out like, okay, you being fake, you doing this, you know what I mean? It's like, nah, this is a consistent thing that you have seen. And I think that's very important.
Yeah, no doubt, man. And one thing that I love just about the conversation that we having so far, it seems like a lot of things that your father and parents instilled in you have kind of just carried over to what you're doing in your household. So that's pretty dope to see just that come full circle too as well. And one thing that I want to ask, man, people talk a lot about this term mom guilt, right? Like not feeling like moms feeling like they're not doing enough. Has there ever been any point of your fatherhood journey where you've had dad guilt, like feeling like you're not doing enough or not there? Like, what's that been like for you?
I always say there's no like real playbook for being a father. You really gotta go in it. You know what I mean? It's like when I decided to do stand-up, right? And it's a thing of a lot of people told me you gotta get up there. You know what I mean? You gotta get up there, you gotta do it because every audience is different. And then you learn how to navigate and how to, set up a joke and all those things while you're doing it. But you got to take the initial step. And so for me, at times when I feel like as a father, when it's something that I thought was like the right thing, you know what I'm saying, of saying, and then it didn't work out, or I didn't get the right response from my child, or, or they're upset about something I said, and you get to that mindset where you're like, man, okay, so how can I figure this out? And the beautifulness is that's what I was talking about with you, really finding out who your child is. Your child was born for a reason, right? And so all of them are different. You know what I mean? Every kid is different that comes, you know what I mean? And so it's like what might have worked on your oldest is not going to work on your youngest. You know what I mean? Or in the middle child or whatever, how it goes. You know what I mean? It's always a different approach. They have different emotions, different opinions, and it's really about finding that. And so within that, I always tell fathers, like, it's the patience within it. You know what I mean? It's like, it's the patience within it, but still having that consistency of love and being, of course, be the father that gives you the right knowledge and the way to go, but at the same time, listen. It's the act of listening. You know what I mean? Because I'm not gonna say my pops did that a lot. It wasn't a lot of active listening. Sometimes like you doing this and you get in there and you do it. You know what I'm saying? But for me, as far as I get down, it's active listening. So it's like, I'm gonna tell you this, and I want you to hear me out, but then I'm also gonna hear you out. You know what I mean? Because you have to understand that it's those things where it's like, do you know that I was your age at one point? You know what I'm saying? So I've been through this, so I know it. But as a kid, they don't really look at it like that. They just see you as, this older person telling me what to do. And so it's a thing of you letting them know, like, yeah, I've been in your shoes. I've done this before. This has happened. And this is what happened to me when I did that. And just, give them that information. And sometimes you might feel like they're not listening, but they're listening. You know what I mean? And keep, stay in there. Stay in there. That's why I said prayer is very important. So as you are, hitting them with the nuggets of knowledge that you do know, also in the spiritual realm, keep them covered, because sometimes they might just be like, okay, I'm gonna stay hard-headed with it. I'm gonna have to learn on my own. And that might be something God is trying to teach them within that. You know what I mean?
And we all have that moment, I think, where we come back, or we have a moment in life where we like, you know what? Mom told me that, or dad told me that, and I should have listened. And I had that full circle moment at some point in my 20s where my pops was like, friends and money don't mix. You give somebody some money anyways, and then you and that person fall out, and then you don't want to hear what he's talking about. Then later on, you're like, you know what, Dad? You was right, bro. I shouldn't have gave him that money. You was right. I should have just kept it different, kept it separate. Me and him would still be cool to this day. So we all have that moment. Sometimes it takes longer for us to connect with it. But I think what you said is really important. You got to just keep, as a parent, like hitting them with them gems, sending them nuggets that your child's way. And eventually, at some point, it'll sink in and they'll thank you for it, because when they have kids, they're going to go through the same thing that you went through. So it's great to see it all come full circle like that. But one thing I wanted to hit on, man, because this is really, I would say I've heard this from different parents, especially those, who become entertainers. Like, what are your thoughts on the entertainment industry as it relates to your children? You've been in it. You've seen pretty much everything at this point, right? So are you one of those parents who are like, I don't want you to touch entertainment at all, or are you open to it?
Woo! Man, here's the thing, because it's a lot that you'll go through, but for my children, it's where they have me. you know what I mean, that actually experienced it. Because sometimes you'll have parents that are green within it too. So as they're going through it, they're just as green with the kids, and then you start getting, you know, this situation of mistakes being made by the child and by the parent, you know, or just the parent, depending on how young the kid is when they get into the business, because it's things that they might see, and it's a lot of smoke and mirrors, and they don't really understand. So like a lot of times, parents will hit me up, and I really do answer questions. Like they'll hit me up like, yo, I want to get my kid in the business. And I'm like, yo, okay, look, you know what I mean? Like, and I end up talking to them so that they feel comfortable within it. And like even with when we brought rebooting the show, it was something important to me. Like just like when I spoke to the kids, I also said, well, yo, you know what I want to do? I want to have my parents speak to the kids' parents, because that was something that never was done to us as either. And I saw a lot of us go through different things. We had awesome parents, you know what I mean? But then at the same time, I was like, they had to learn things along the way. Wouldn't it have been dope if they had a big homie that would tell them, like, you know what I'm saying? So I was thinking the same thing, like, oh, this would be cool if we had some, you know, a parent. And my mom met with the moms and told them, you know, all the things she's experienced as growing up with me in the business, and you know, talk with them. And she said some of the moms were in tears and thankful at that moment. But I was just like, that's what's dope about it. I think, you know, I feel like that's the thing. When you go, all of us are going through something and going through a journey to give back. That's really what it is. Like when you read the Bible, these are stories telling you how to navigate. Like, oh, I went in there, I did that. Let me tell you how you should do it. And it's really up to us in our mindset to go, okay, do we accept that, or do we just want to bump our head and figure it out? That's on the person in their self. That's how that goes. But yeah, you know, yeah, man. So for me, I would allow them to get into it and do it, to answer your question, because I would really have to see if they have the passion for it, because within this game, it's not like you're just doing it for money. You know what I mean? You can't do it for that reason, and you can't do it for notoriety as well. You can't do it for that reason either. Like, why are you doing it? Is this a passion? Is this something that you love? Like in the hood, there was always that one kid in a karate gi, and you was just like, yo, he know the food, and he loved it. Then years later in life, he's the kid that opened up the dojo in the hood. You know the kid that played football. All he cared about was football. Now he played for the NFL. It's like you see it. So if I see a consistency of this is what I want, you know, Michael Jackson was dancing every minute before they even got out there. He was, you know what I'm saying? He enjoyed it. Yeah, his pops put him through some stuff, but he also loved entertaining. And that's what I mean by focusing on what your kids love. And I could tell, like I could sniff it out as like, oh, do they love this, or they just want to do it for just to be doing it? You know what I mean? And that's the thing. You know what I mean? But if you love it, yeah, let's go.
Let's go. That's dope, and that's a good perspective on that, man. Because I feel like if you love it and you're passionate about it, or if you're not, time gonna tell. You know what I'm saying? Like you're gonna either stick with it or you're gonna fall out with it, man. But even you know, just kind of wanting to talk about this segment that we have, man. It's called Dads in Delivery. So, you know, basically it's an opportunity for fathers to open up about how they felt mentally, physically, and emotionally as your child was being born. So let's take it. What your first child is how old? That's 20-something years ago.
22.
22. Let's take it back 22 years ago, man. What was that feeling like for you as your oldest son was being brought into the world?
Man, oldest was, to be honest, terrifying at that moment. You know what I mean? I'm gonna be honest, because it was a thing of like, I was very, very young. And it was a thing of like, whoa, okay, I'm about to bring this child into this world. And it was a thing of like, okay, I'm just gonna want to do the right thing. And it was really deep. You know, I was a child as well. So I was learning, you know, as I had my child, I was learning through that process. And so it was very deep, but it was awesome at the same time. Like when he was first born, and I tell him this all the time, like he was, you know, born for a reason, because he was a preemie. And so born as a preemie, he was on, when he was born, it was like, oh, it's a boy. Then they were like, oh, but we got to rush him and take him in here to save his life, really. And it was like, they had the goggles on him, and he was in the incubator for a very long time. And then me being on television at this time and all the things that I was doing, and them saying, oh, well, you still need to be on set, as I was going through this stuff. Like, it was a lot of like emotions and stress that was going on at that time. But it was really deep. Then I remember my family coming out and we're praying, and I remember my mom putting holy oil all over the all over the place, you know what I mean, and praying over him. And now, big boy, you know what I'm saying? So it's just those moments. And then and then when my second child, my oldest daughter was born, it was a thing of like, okay, you know what I mean? Now it's a little baby girl, you know what I mean? You gotta step it up in that way. And then because I got 2 sets, so now I have my youngest kids, you know what I mean? And so I have Wisdom, and so that was beautiful as well too. And so her pregnancy, it was deep because we went and saw, me and my wife, we went and did the whole thing, as far as like the Lamaze classes, and she was going to have a natural birth and all of these different things. And you were like, we're going to do that. And then she was crowning, but Wisdom wasn't coming all the way out. So it was kind of like, okay, what are we going to do in this moment? And we had to figure that out as well. And so it was a situation where she had to have a cesarean at that point. So that was deep as well too for my wife and for that. But we prayed in that situation too. And now beautiful baby girl that's 4 years old. So I have a 22, 19, 4, and then I also have an 8-month-old. And that was Honor was born. Thank you, brother. Honor was born within the pandemic. You know what I mean? So that was deep as well. So in the pandemic, they were giving my wife a COVID test as she was pushing. You know what I mean? And couldn't take anything. She couldn't take anything because when we got there, he was already out. You know what I mean? He was already coming out. And so that was deep. And she had him natural. And we cried after, with that, because I know she wanted a natural birth because she wasn't able to do that with Wisdom. So yeah, man, all the different like births is a different mindset with each child. You know what I mean? It's just a different mindset. And but I tell you this, children are a blessing. Children are a blessing. And they've all each one of them have showed me, helped me grow in knowledge and help me understand things by seeing them navigate through life, even with my 8-month-old. You know what I mean? Like it's just different things that they show me how to be more loving, with all 4 of them. You know what I mean? So it's beautiful being a father. You know what I mean? yeah.
No, it's amazing. And it's really dope. I tell Jesse this all the time too when we have these conversations. Like, it doesn't matter how many kids you end up having, you remember each birth experience because they're all so unique, right? The experience that your wife or your girl has to go through, what you go through as a dad, is different for each one, but there's something that stands out through each birth that sticks with you with that kid. And it's funny how even the stories or the things you think about, like with my youngest kid, like he basically forced himself out. Like I basically delivered him. The doctor wasn't even in the room. And then his personality now, almost 3 years later, it's like, he's still that forceful. He waits on nobody. You tell him to do something, hey man, nah, I'm gonna go do this right now. I don't care what you're talking about. I didn't wait to come in his world. I'm not waiting for you right now. It's the same thing. So it's beautiful how you can have those experiences as a parent and watch how it really kind of plays into the personality that your child develops too.
Yeah, man. And that plays into, like I said, what my wife always says is about the spirit. You know what I mean? He had that spirit when he was born. He still got the same spirit. You know what I mean? It's awesome like that way, man. Yeah.
So then talk to us about, because you have a pretty significant gap, bro, in terms of your oldest child to your 8-month-old, and a lot has changed from when you was 20 when you had your first.
Man.
So what's been the biggest obstacle for you in starting over as a parent? Like, what have you had to relearn about yourself as a dad? Basically doing it all over again.
Well, my first 2 was from a previous marriage, right? And so it was a thing of that too as well. And then it was the whole thing of me figuring out that process as well. And then saying, okay, I want to do it again and start over. And I really feel like just really learning who you are spiritually and really getting tapped into that, and being equally yoked, with your wife, and you all are on the same understanding is such a beautiful thing. And then, yeah, man, I feel like it's just two different dynamics. Like, that's why I said, like, when I had my first two, it was like a lot of like figuring it out. You know what I mean? Figuring it out and trying to get an understanding, because I was very young, you know what I mean, through both processes. But then there's a cool factor to that as well, because it's like, which they always tell me, which is funny. They're like, yo, we want to laugh at you, like the dads that, be wearing the crazy clothes, but you looking like us, and you dressing like us. And so they crack up at that at times too, which is very, very funny. And then with my youngest as well too, my two youngest children, that has been just a beautiful process, seeing that, praying for them. And we prayed very hard for both of them to be born, me and my wife. And just the experience of seeing them grow up and in the love that they both have, it's been super awesome. And then and then the love that my oldest kids have for their younger siblings has been awesome as well. And yeah, there was a big gap. Like, a lot of people were like, yo, you got a big gap, but it's cool. Like, it's deep, you know what I mean? As far as like having teenagers and then also having toddlers at the same time. You know what I mean? So you gotta imagine, how that works, being a father. You know what I mean? So that's why I pray, I work out. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? A lot. You know what I mean? So that I could be healthy for all four. And then it's also too, for me too, is understanding each one and their likes, and having time with each one as well, like giving them their time to hang out with each and every one of them and understand what their likes and dislikes, and talking to them individually, and spending time and being there for each one, and showing them that I love all of you all the same, and you all can have, fun times with daddy. You know what I mean? So I really dig that. To always make sure you take the time to do that, especially with your daughters. You know what I'm saying? Do the daddy-daughter dates, so they know the type of guys that they don't need to be, hanging out with. And then with your sons as well, spend time with them, see what they enjoy. You know what I mean? And just have that fun, and then show them things through your action too. Your actions when you're not with them, do that as well. So that's it's been awesome. It's been deep. People always crack up and like, yo, you got adults, teenagers, and little ones. And are you gonna keep going? And it was funny because me and my wife, we talk about that. I was like, all right, are we gonna do it again? Do it again. Yeah, I'll be 5 in the game. I have a whole team in a minute.
Nah, that's dope, man. And I love your perspective on that. It sounds like you gotta do a lot just to keep your mental there to, navigate all those different ages and whatnot. And you said something that kind of caught my attention, as far as like your kids cracking jokes on, how you dress and everything, because you dress like them. So this episode is actually sponsored by one of our good partners called Fly Dad, man. So they create gear, and the mission is to help dads preserve their swag as they navigate life with their kids. So tell us, man, like what's it mean to you to be a fly dad?
Here's what's fly, right? You know what I mean? For me, I always keep my ear into what's like, what's fly. You know what I mean? And in my eyes, and I'm really into like, fashion and style. I've always been like that. And so I'm into that. And I always say this, which is funny, like, my oldest kids, they always joke and they go, yo, you getting old. And I never agree. Okay, so I'm gonna tell y'all this little tidbit. When people start saying like, yo, you, and I never say that. I was like, nah, I'm just getting wiser, man. I'm getting wiser, baby. It's all good. You know what I'm saying? And I say that because I feel like your words have power. So if I say something in that way, then I'm gonna have that old swag or whatever. Whatever. And I'm just like, no. I'm gonna stay with it, because a lot of times, like, people like, they don't even know how old I am when they see me. So it's a thing of like, but you got to keep that up, like, as far as like the nutrition, the style. Go look. Like, it's a lot of people that I follow. This is another tip that I do. Shout out to, so the fathers will know. Okay, so what I do every time I get to a milestone of age, right? When I get to a milestone of an age, I look at someone that is 10 years older than me with a swag that's dope, right? So I look at them like, okay, they fit, they got a dope swag. Okay, so what do? All right, so what they do? Okay, they on their fitness. Okay, all right, they style is fly. Okay, let me see what type of places they going. Okay, so I know that's a goal, because you know what I mean. I'm 42, so I look at somebody that's 52 with a swag, and then after 52, I'm gonna look at somebody that's 62 with a swag, and we just gonna keep this thing going all the way through the 90s, man. it just keep it going. But I think that's what's so cool. Always be willing to learn, new styles. And that's what's fun, having my children that are all in different ages. Like, I know what's cool for toddlers. I know what's cool, for older kids too as well, because I get to see it right in front of me. Like, what's the swag? You know what I mean?
Yeah. No, that's cool, man. That gives a good perspective, man, because you can't be, 42 looking at somebody who's 22 or 19 and looking at their swag. So
and that's the mistake, right?
That's the mistake right there. No, that's dope, man. Hey, real quick though, question, because you mentioned something earlier, but you ain't really give context to it. You battled Common. Who won that battle, and what was it like?
You got to ask Common. No. So literally what happened was, Common loves hip hop. He loves to rap. You know what I mean? Every time I see him, he always goes, Chi-Town, what up, Chi-Town? And I love that, because it's a lot of us out here in Chicago, from Chicago, which is beautiful as well too. But I remember him coming in there, and he was just like, let's just go back and forth. So it really wasn't like a battle, but for me, it was, because I was like, let's get it. You know what I mean? And I was rapping. I would say he won because I was rapping straight crisscross style. I was into that. So I was kicking the Kel with the miggity mic. I was hitting him with that. But it's just an awesome memory that I will always remember. And like, with hip hop, rapping for Left Eye, that was dope too. You know what I mean? With her beatboxing, I got like a actual picture of her like beatboxing as I'm rhyming for, you know what I mean? And then having my boys from Chicago perform on all that. That was big for me too. So yeah, man, hip hop has been a big part of my life. So I'm always part of the hip hop community. You know what I mean? I still dance too as well. I bought Chicago footwork, on Dancing with the Stars. Shout out to them for allowing me to do that too as well. And that's the thing, just being vibrant and having that energy, that's what just keeps, fathers fly. You know what I'm saying? I just feel like just having that energy and never feel like, because maybe some cats that's my age and they be like, yo, man, the kids are old and I'm just, no. You know what I'm saying? No, and enjoy it. Yeah, you're gonna, some days gonna be rougher than others, but that's why I said getting up early and taking care of your mind, your spirit, what you eating. Let the Lord guide you, because spirit doesn't age. You know what I mean? So that's why you got to just really do that. It'll keep you young. It'll definitely keep you young. When I found the Lord the right way, you know what I'm saying? Because I always knew him, but it's different knowing the Lord and having a relationship with the Lord. So when I found the Lord the right way and really let him guide my steps, I became younger and I grew in knowledge and being wise. You know what I mean? So yeah, man.
That's dope, bro.
Yeah.
Yo, so before we get out of here, though, we got another segment that we'd love to hit on with all of our guests, man. And it's really important for us. If you could write a letter to your father, starting with Dear Father, what would you say?
That is deep. You know what? Dear Father, thank you for being you. Unapologetically you, and showing me how to be unapologetically me. Thank you for showing me how to be the type of man that loves being righteous, loves chivalry, and loves love. and understands love, and showing me that love is the only way. Is the only way. So I'll definitely would say that to my pops. We talk all the time, so I'll definitely. But yeah.
That's amazing, man. And we love that segment so much because we feel like it's super important to do. So thank you for your transparency there. And even a few years back, I think I remember, did your dad go through some type of surgery or something like that? And you said they just got their 49th year anniversary. So I assume he's doing good now.
Let me tell you, that moment told me up. You know what I mean? Just the thought of like, yo, pops, like he had brain surgery. And it was a very serious, moment. And I was doing Dancing with the Stars at that time. And I was going through a lot at that time. And then me and my wife as well, she had gotten pregnant doing Dancing with the Stars. And that particular baby went to be with the Lord, right? And so we were dealing with that during Dancing with the Stars, and then also with my dad having brain surgery. So it was just a lot that was going on. And I remember I broke down. I was upset about breaking down in front of all the cameras, in the reality of it, because the reality show, and I broke down. But that was what I was doing in the car after rehearsals and stuff like that. I was just dealing with, because I'm, my younger sisters and my sisters and my mom and all of that, because, who our dad is to us. And then to know that he was going through something like this, and it was something, but we were praying it all the way through, man. And to see him now, dancing and smiling at his 49th anniversary, and just had a birthday, in his 60s and vibrant. And it was deep. I remember in between the show, I flew to go see him so I could make sure I was there for the surgery. And there to come from my sisters and my mom, and while we were there, and my wife praying me through while I was, getting ready to do that. And what was really deep about it is that seeing him come back to, like, after they removed it, you know what I mean, and everything, and then seeing his motor skills have to work, bro. Like, I'm getting emotional right now, but it was just like it was a deep thing to be there, seeing his motor skills kind of come back. And it was like he had to like learn how to eat and walk and all this different stuff. And what it showed me at that moment, right? This is what it showed me, that love. So no matter what you're going through in life, or relationships or whatever it is that you're going through, make sure you show that consistency of love, because being there, I was thinking about myself in that situation and my children being in that situation, you know what I mean? And it's a lot of parents that don't show that love. And so a kid might not feel like they want to be there for that moment. You see what I'm saying? And so it's like, you want to make sure that you always have that love that you show for your kids, so that in that moment, they're there praying you through, just like you prayed them through, and helping you through. And it really made us even stronger, me and my dad, I feel, you know what I mean, through that process, him waking up, bro. I'm getting emotional because he was like, yo, Kel, like he had to like put the connections together with everybody that was in the room, bro. And it's just like, it was such a beautiful moment to see him now and holding his grandkids and, dancing and giving knowledge. Now you can't stop him. He even more energy than he had before. You know what I mean? Yeah.
And that's amazing, bro. And that just shows the power of God. You know what I mean? God can get us through any and everything, bro. So, we're going to keep your father lifted up, keep praying for many more years. Hopefully they get to 100-year anniversary.
Beautiful.
But one of the things we wanted to do before we got out of here, bro, is we definitely want to give you that time and that space to really tell the people like what's next for you and how can they follow you on social.
Oh yeah, so you can hit me up at I am Kel Mitchell. Definitely on the gram. You can hit me up there. You can go to kelmitchell.com. You can see all the things that I'm into. Of course, check me out on Deliciousness as well. Airing on MTV currently. I have a book coming out, but I'll probably come back to y'all when the book is coming out. But the book will be out in the winter, which has also just been a beautiful process for me as well, adding author to my career, which has been amazing. So man, we got a lot of great surprises that are happening this year and the next year as well. So I'm super happy, man. All glory to God.
Yeah, man. No, we excited for you, man. We definitely gonna tap into anything you got going on. And before we get out of here, man, I just want to thank you for joining us. And we said this word a lot throughout the conversation, but just for your spirit and energy today, man. Like it's been really therapeutic for me just to talk to you and kind of get to know you as a Black man, as a father, man. So I'm appreciative of the conversation today.
Thank you, man. And also too, I'm a youth pastor as well. So hit up spiritfoodchristiancenter.com. You can see us on there, and you want to connect with us, or just come by the church and hang out with us too. We love that too as well. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
That's dope, bro. And to piggyback on Jesse's point, man, like I said in the beginning, we been big fans since a kid. I'm 35 now. I grew up watching you. Jesse grew up watching you. And I want to say, Black man, I'm proud of you, because you went into an industry that oftentimes swallows up people and they don't come out of it the same or better. And you are one of them people that I really feel like you've been through this industry. You spent your entire life in it, and you came out even better on the other side, man. So salute to you for the human being that you are today. Super proud of you, man, and keep doing what you're doing.
Thank you, man. I don't take that lightly. I thank both of y'all for sharing that with me. And yeah, man, just appreciate y'all, and blessings to what y'all got going on. I think this is awesome. That y'all allow this platform for fathers. We definitely need that, and for people that didn't grow up without a father, this is definitely dope, where you can just really get some gems and really get some knowledge. And so I dig what y'all doing. So yeah, man, I'm supporting it.
Time is money, and I'm working on that richer meal. It's up to me to drop the ball like I'm center field. I gotta touch lead better when I'm in the clip. I be in and out the cut like I'm in